Great evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Tuesday evening Let's Talk program. The program where you are educated, informed, and also inspired. This evening promised to be another interesting presentation as we will be looking on mortgage. So, guess what? Go and tell a friend to come on over and learn whatever it is that they can learn about mortgage this evening. All right, so please guess what? Share out the live, guys. Share out the live. Also, don't forget to give the live a thumbs up, like the live. Don't forget to leave your comment. We want to hear from you this evening as our presenter prepare herself to come and share with us this evening. I want you to also prepare your questions. What is it that you need to know about mortgaging? Are you planning on taking out a mortgage? This is where you ought to be this evening. You will be furnished with all the information that you need to know. Once again, welcome to Let's Talk. I am your host, Ancelena Versatility Boyd. It is always a pleasure for me just to share, come on here every Tuesday and to share with you I call you my fans, I call you my family, I call you my friends. You are all welcome this evening. All right, guys, so I am about to go and share out the live, so I'm hoping you're going to do the same thing, right? Go on over and share out the live. All right, we don't want to keep the information to ourselves this evening, right? Yes, man. We want to share it out so others can be informed, can be educated, and can be inspired. Also, I am seeing two persons online. Please say hi so I can identify you this evening. I am always happy to have you on board supporting. Your support is greatly appreciated. Welcome, welcome, welcome once again, guys. Our presenter. She will be joining us shortly, so just bear with me another few minutes, all right? Welcome once again. Okay, guys, our presenter is now on, Mrs. Danielle Barneswell. I am just going to hand over to her now, allow her to introduce herself, and then go straight into our presentation. Welcome, Mrs. Barneswell. Happy to have
Thank you
you.
so much, Mrs. Boyd. A pleasant evening to you and your followers. Thank you for having me. I am Danielle Barneswell, a banker for over 10 years. And this evening, I've been asked to give some information on mortgages, so to speak. So let's jump in. What is a mortgage? Next slide. So, a mortgage is a legal agreement by which a bank or building society lends money at interest in exchange for taking the title of the debtor's property. A mortgage is an agreement between you and a lender that gives the lender the right to take your property if you fail to repay the money you have borrowed plus interest. Mortgage loans are used to buy a house. Now, sometimes persons confuse mortgages with home equity, or you'll say you've mortgaged your house, an existing house. Yes, you can reference it as you've mortgaged the house, but it's a home equity, which means whatever the value is of your existing premises, you can borrow a loan against that value to do something else, right? But that's a home equity. A mortgage is basically borrowing money to buy a house, and you pay
Okay.
back the loan with interest, as do all loans.
A question though, Mrs. Barnes, well, because I hear
Right.
something about in exchange for taking title. So
Yes,
when you take out a mortgage, especially with the bank, is it that they hold on to your title until the payment is completed?
that's correct.
Okay.
Because what happens is the bank has purchased the property on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
As such, they've taken a big risk, spent a lot of money. So they will hold on to the title until the loan is repaid in full.
So what happens though if you fall into some difficulties and you have paid up to possibly 3/4 of the loan of the mortgage, and you fall into some difficulty and you're no longer able to pay the balance? What will
Well,
happen in that
I
case?
suggest as soon as you find yourself in any kind of difficulty where you foresee yourself not being able to pay the next 3 to 6 months, contact your financier. Sit and have a discussion with the bank or whichever entity you use. It can be a building society to find an amicable way for collection. That's my recommendation as a professional. But the truth is, if you are unable to pay, the bank has the right. to recover the property
Oh,
for resale. So
oh
when we
my.
get further down into the presentation, you'll see why. So you
Okay.
can't just go and say, I'm gonna purchase a property by the gully and the bank finances it. It has to be a property that can be resold in the event something like that were to happen.
Okay.
In the event something like that were to happen. All right. So the $1 million question for mortgages. Are you ready? Have you been saving? Have you been looking at varying developers? Have you been following the media? Have you, well, of late you'll see some issues rebuilding and the sale of land, etc. These are things that when they happen, they're to spark interest in you going forward in doing some things. So, a mortgage, some persons are threatened by it, but if you follow the requirements and the guidelines, it doesn't have to seem difficult. What I will say to everyone here tonight, when you are speaking to your loan expert or your mortgage expert or a sales representative for any loan at all, if there's anything that you don't understand, feel free to ask for an explanation because the bank will have a lot of jargons and we sometimes will use them. You're not sure, but you just say yes because you don't want to feel cute about it. I say to you, you are spending your money. You're also risking your finances. Ask the questions. So, are you ready for the mortgage? There are varying steps to the mortgage, and you can see them here. Your credit history, first of all, is very important for any loan, so to speak. It's one of the 5 C's. Your credit history. Are you credit worthy? Have you borrowed before and you have consistently paid your debts? Or have you borrowed before and you've neglected them? Were you bankrupt? Did you go through a divorce? Did one party die, leaving you with the brunt of what it is to be paid? Your credit history follows you throughout your life. And the truth is, you are writing your own report. It is your responsibility to check your credit history. And I pause here to say, even if you are taking a loan on behalf of another individual, once you sign off on that loan, it is yours. It shows up on your history. So you have a duty to check in with that individual to ensure they are making the payments. There are too many times when persons come in now to get their loans, and we have little hiccups because of these things. So your credit history is important. We want to know that you are trustworthy. Put yourself in the bank's position. Ancelena, I want to buy a house and you're gonna lend me $30 million. But you hear that, boy, when you lend Danielle money, she don't pay it back. Would you give me your money?
Not
No.
at all.
That's basically what the bank is saying. Persons may feel like the banks are being hard. However, it's a large investment and both parties have to protect themselves. So check your credit history whilst you're planning for your mortgages. Ensure that your credit cards are being paid, your micro loans, your loans at work. Newly added to the credit history is NWC. Ensure you're paying your water bill, ladies
Okay.
and gentlemen. That now appears on the credit report. Your
Student loan?
flow bill,
What
it
about student
appears.
loan?
Student loan appears on the credit report. Yes, it does. And I
Okay.
know a lot of persons have challenges with student loan.
Yes.
It depends on the bank,
Yes.
if they will go ahead given the circumstances around the time that you borrowed the loan.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that in that time and space, Generally, a lot of persons may not be working right off the bat to start repaying their loans, or by the time they start, they're only paying the arrears. They haven't gone in, like I said to you earlier, have a
Yes.
discussion, rework it. So these are things that we have to do. Ensure you're paying your bills, singer, course. Everyone is getting onto to the credit report because we find there's a high number of non-repayment, and we can't have that. We're lending people's monies, and we have to be sure we're able to recover it. So in
Right.
that regards, your credit history is important. Financing.
Hold on, sister. Mrs.
Sure.
Bansal, before you get to the financing, how
Mhm.
do you check your credit history though?
Okay, you can call CRIF NMCRIFNM, or you can call the Credit Bureau. You can Google it, Credit Bureau Jamaica.
Okay.
Credit Bureau Jamaica.
Okay.
You get one free report per year where you don't have to pay any money to check it. You can actually go online. I believe there are a
Okay.
few steps you'll have to follow. I'm not sure of all of them, but you can go online. I know you need to have your TRN and an ID to prove that it's your report you're actually trying to pull up. So you can check it free. And I think by the time you get to the stage, if you want to check it again within the year, it's $1,000 or maybe 1,150. So you would have already known where you stand by the time you go to the bank. Because even if you pull your history
Oh,
before and you see where everything is fine, the bank will still need to pull a report on their own using their system. Okay, so I'm cautioning you, and really that
okay.
comes at a
Okay.
cost to you, the borrower, not to the bank. Right. So financing,
Wow.
and you are going to say something else? It's your
No,
report.
continue. Go
Your
ahead.
report. So you'll have to pay for it. Right.
Yes.
So remember, guys, you are writing your own report and your financial footprints are out there. All right. So financing, it is your responsibility to check around, so to speak. So even if you are a customer of bank ABC from your I was at your knee, it doesn't mean that that's the right financial institution to go to. So there are building societies, there are commercial banks. You look at the interest rates, you look at moratoriums if they give, you know, extended periods here and there or a break. You look at the terms, how long do they give to ask you to repay? A lot of banks go up to 30 years. Um, you're going to check the payback that you'll pay monthly based on the interest rate. So check around. There are multiple banks out there. You can call, you can email, you can go on their website. A lot of banks now have mortgage calculators and other calculators. So you can just input your details, your
Yes.
monthly earnings, your liabilities, your rent, your car notes, everything. And it gives you an idea of how much you'll pay, right? If you are going through a realtor, the realtor can check a bank for you if that's a service you want to be done. But I still say to clients, check for yourselves and see what's the best fit for you. Some banks give up to a
Okay.
100% financing. It depends on the circumstances of the loan. Please ensure that you are aware of the locations across the island. So if you speak to someone in Kingston, but you want to do the mortgage in Westmoreland because the house is down there, although it's one entity, I generally say speak to someone closer to your area so that if anything, you can go in quickly. Documents move faster. We don't have to be sending it through a courier. and all of that. Some persons choose to stick with
Okay.
their institution that they've been with for many, many years, and nothing is wrong with that. But I'm saying there are many institutions out there now. Check around and see what best suits you, right? Pre approval. So, pre approval is basically checking to see what you qualify for. I suggest with any loan, even if it's a car loan, don't look for the car or the house first. Check what you are qualified for and try and find the property or the vehicle within the range that you can afford, because it's wasting
Makes
your
sense.
time when you go and look in Norbrook and you don't have the Norbrook money and you feel defeated, right? Okay,
Yes.
we know you have to consider your safety. A lot of us want to go in gated communities. That's all fine. But first, get pre approved. If you are going through a realtor, if you are going to go and look at open houses, when you come with a pre approved letter, persons take you seriously. You know the amount that you qualify for. You're serious about making a purchase wherever you go. So, what do you need to be pre approved? The bank needs to know who you are. It's your identification. And we know the identification, government issued IDs, government of Jamaica issued IDs. So your driver's license, your voter's ID, your passport. Your TRN is definitely a necessity. Some banks will even reach out for your birth certificate, right? If you're going to use NHT, you will definitely need a birth certificate and your NIS number, right? So we need to know who you are, where you live. We need proof of address. Definitely proof of income. What do you do? Are you self employed? Do you have a YouTube channel? Are you a vendor? Are you a teacher, doctor, lawyer? We need proof of your earnings so that we know you are able to repay your debt.
Okay.
Now, proof of earnings for self employed persons varies. So I will put it to you tonight. Don't use Daniel's experience to judge what may happen to you. Because when I go to the bank and do some inquiries and I'm not pleased with the results I get, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for you, because I may not be telling you the
That's right.
intricacies of everything that would have been a hindrance for me, right? So your pay slips, your last 3, 6 up to a year pay slips. Some banks would prefer you're being employed for a year or 2 years when coming in. If you just started a new job, but you can prove that you were employed 2 years before continuously or a year before continuously, you can still be considered depending on the bank that you choose. Some banks, it's 6 months, right? Or building societies, which is why I say check around to see what suits your situation, right? So your pay slips, your job letter. Job letters, when you're requesting from your employers, it needs to have your tenure, how long you've been there, how much you're earning, your position. Just it doesn't need the fluff. What you're earning, what you do, and how long you've been there. For self-employed persons, they're going to need proof of financials. Are you paying your income tax? Are you paying any tax? What are your bank statements looking like? We can't take it for word amount that you make 500,000 a month. What is the proof to show us? So for the self-employed persons, please open an account, channel your funds through that account as your proof of your earnings, right? So that goes with your bank statements. If it's a registered business, yes, we'll need the business registration documents, your TCC, and of course, you'll get the full approval not approval, I'm sorry, the requirements from your entity of choice, right? Depending if self-employed or not. All right, so we know who you are, we know where you live, we know what you earn, and we need some references to say, yes, I know Ancelena, I know Daniel. In the event something happens, we need to be able to call someone for you to reach out to you.
Mhm.
The truth is, a lot of persons will try to run off with the bank's money, and we have to protect ourselves. Persons may feel that the banks are overreaching with the requirements, but if you put the shoe on the other foot, you can understand why a lot of the rules are in place. So when we check your earnings versus your liabilities are your loans, your expenditure, your credit cards, your rent, if you have another mortgage, if you have a car loan, if you have SLB, anything that you are consistently paying monthly from your salary, we take that into consideration along with how much you earn to determine the amount you qualify for. And that's your pre approval. So the bank can give you a pre approval letter to say, Ancelina is qualified for a mortgage of up to $12 million. No, this is not a binding statement. What it is, the representative would have done the calculations. It would have been approved that based on the information from your credit history, from your employer, and your pay slips, this is the amount you can afford. Now, when you get this letter, you move down to the next one, house hunting. I pause to say NHT comes into play here as well. You can get a pre-approval letter from NHT separate from your bank of choice, because you know NHT is a separate entity. So you can get a pre-approval letter from NHT and take it into the bank. So we'll already know that NHT has approved you for 6.5 million. So if you're purchasing a house for 11 million, we know that we are only giving you the difference because NHT has already shown us that this is what you qualify for. Now, for
Okay.
the NHT approval, reach out to NHT for that. They'll tell you what you need, and they are very quick, I must say. If you are going to do joint financing, that's something a lot of the banks are offering, meaning you're taking your benefits from the NHT to go along with what you're borrowing from the bank, then that works out as well. If there are two parties, Mr. Boyd and Mrs. Boyd, and they both use their NHT benefits, right? That's 13 million already. So you're coming now to borrow the rest from the bank, right? We'll
Yeah.
still use the interest from NHT. So if NHT says is 1% is their interest, the bank has to honor that. So the
Oh,
remainder that we give it at our interest, which can be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever the interest is for that particular bank. But the portion from NHT has to be honored at the rate NHT will put in your pre-approval letter.
okay.
Okay? So that's it for pre-approval. And you take your pre-approval to the bank if it's from NHT, or when we move down to house hunting now, you go to Gore Developments, you know, they're building some house by XYZ. It's 15 or 17 million. You have your pre-approval letter from Bank ABC and your NHD pre-approval letter for 6.5. So they know that you are serious. So now that you know you can qualify for up to 12 million, you look for something in that range. And I pause here to say, I have it written somewhere. Please remember that you have a lot of other little payments to make. You have your down payment, which is why you'll probably be saving before and doing
Mm-hmm.
your checks. As I said earlier, your down payment can be anywhere from 5 to 20% of the cost of the loan. Engage a lawyer We see what has been happening in the media. Allow the lawyers to ensure that the conditions are being met. Some persons will come to the bank with a sales agreement already, and just by going through, a lot of things have not been covered. Please engage a lawyer. They can collect their fee from the amount of money being sent over. So reach out. Don't be nervous about it. Just call to find out. All right. So you go house
Okay.
hunting and you find a house that you like. You make an offer. Housing offers vary. You can speak to a real estate agent. The bank will not lend you more than the value of the house. So if the house value is 10 million and the vendor is asking for 12 million, but the valuation report that you provide is 10 million, it's only 10 million that the bank will lend, because that is
Oh,
the
so
value of the house.
so the valuation report for the bank is different from what the realtor would have valued the property as? It can
No,
be different?
valuation is done by valuators.
Right.
Right. I'm
But
just
you
saying it's
said
not
that
the
if the individual, if the person is selling the
Mhm.
property at 12 and the
Right.
value the bank sees it's 10 million,
Right.
then they won't give you more than the 10 million. So
That's
then you would have
correct.
to come up with the 2 million on your own.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And if a valuation is done and the property is 10 million, why are you selling it for 12?
At 12, yeah.
But
Doesn't make sense.
but it's up to you, the buyer. Because what if it is your dream house on the hill, right beneath the clouds? You're right below Jesus. That's where you want to be. And I'm going to spend whatever it takes to be right here. There are persons
Yes.
out there who will do that. Okay? When you are going house hunting as well, please, yes, it's nice to look at the scheme houses, etc. Anywhere, as a matter of fact. However, please go back when it's raining. You want to
Yes.
see how it's withstanding the weather. Even if it's not a house in a development, I'm buying a house from Mrs. Boyd. I need to go there when it's raining to see what is happening, because I don't want to buy a strainer. I can do that at Bashko, right? I
I
need to
had
know.
first-hand experience of that one.
Okay,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I need to know that the power company has something set up there, because I'm not yet at the level to get solar panels. I need to know if water is there, there's a connection, or I'm gonna also have to consider trucking water, buying water. That is an additional expense along with taking on a mortgage.
Right.
So when you're going house hunting, these are some things that I want you to check, not just to look on the outside or on the location and it's pretty, or you get a very, very big house for 8 million. What is it? What is the catch?
Yes.
Right? There's not always a catch, but these are just things. You don't want to have a large investment that you regret. You don't want to buy it in an area where you're gonna need to have a helmet and vest to go home in the evenings.
You
You
need water.
understand what I'm saying? So you have to, as a matter of fact, the bank wouldn't honor that. But I'm
Right.
just saying, suppose it's a good community, but you have to pass through somewhere absolutely dangerous. There's nowhere else around it. You may want to reconsider thinking about your safety and the safety of your family. All right. So and think, well, if you're going to a realtor, you can look at the listing of the house. How long has it been on the market? Has been on the market for 2 years. No one has bought it. So we come down to make an offer. They're selling it for 12 million for 2 years now, 3 years, nobody buy it. And you make an offer for 8 million. You win, you know. So you
Yeah.
have the cash right now, you're pre-approved. Within 120 days, that vendor can finally get some money for the property. So these are things that we consider. So you make an offer, you found somewhere that you love, it's within the amount that you've been pre-approved for, you make a formal offer for the premises to the vendors. Their lawyers will reach out to your lawyers, do a sales agreement, you take it into the bank. That's basically it. When you take it into the bank, there are going to be some documents that you need to sign. This is where the valuation and report comes in and your surveyor's report. The valuation report is to be done by an approved valuator by the entity that you're choosing. Every bank has their lists of persons who they accept valuation from. Just take my advice and use someone from that list. Let's say you had the premises valued already before you knew all of this. You know Ancelena have a company 3 years now from you know her that she do. But she not approved because she never do the final three course what England said they must do. So she still have some little things that she need to, to learn for this period now, post-COVID. Doesn't matter what you do, it can't be used. But if you have it and you have an idea that the house value $12 million already based on this valuation, when you do it through the bank, it should be the same or thereabout, right? So you get your list of approved valuators from the bank of your choice, of course, and you go ahead and get the valuation done and the surveyor ID report. Those now tell you the condition of the house, the location, the amenities around the place. You know, it's 5 minutes from the highway, a hospital is nearby, a fire station. These are the things that you want to know. It can
Right.
withstand another 20 years as is without reinforcements. Those are important things. So the evaluators will do their thing, submit all required documents to the bank. There are a lot of documents that they will need for things like these. It depends on the entity, to be honest. We'll look at some of them, but just go through step by step. You need a valuation report. You need a surveyor's ID report. You need a copy of the title. You usually get a copy of the title with the surveyor's report and the valuation report. You need your sales agreement. You need to make your down payment. You need to move over money or show us that you have the down payment if it is not with your bank of choice. You need to find out if the property tax has been paid for those lots or for the property that you're buying. You need to know if there's water connection there. That is very important for the bank, right? You need to pay up all outstanding utilities, or if you're buying it from someone and they need to settle it, those things need to be settled. Okay. We need to know that the building is concrete, it has a roof, it has doors, it has window opening for ventilation. Some persons are buying houses that are considered unfinished. There's a finished part, and maybe the person you're buying from had started an extension, but it's not complete, right?
Okay.
It's still considered unfinished, even though there's a part where you're livable, So it depends on the institution again. Some banks won't honor that, some will. So you have to check around. In an event like that, so to speak, you'll need the plan. What was the plan for this part that you were adding because if we are going to take on this mortgage, you are going to follow this plan for completion. So these are
Okay.
things that you need to take into consideration when you are purchasing the property, right? So submit all required documents. Lawyers will go over, make sure all the I's and T's are dotted and the conditions are being met. Once the conditions of the mortgage is met, you close the deal. Close the deal, you make your final payment, monies are transferred, the loan is disbursed, simply means the money is paid over to Ancelena and buying her house. The bank has paid over the money to her. They've ensured that the property is transferred now in my name. It now becomes my property, and then the keys are handed over. Right? So the process
Okay.
can be a little tedious, but if you take it step by step, can't go wrong. So here are some of the requirements I was going through. Again, IDs, proof of address, employment, sales agreement, valuation report, surveyor's report, title. You need your property tax receipt. You need an NWC bill. You know, if there are any liabilities also when doing your calculations. Let's say I have another loan, I have a car loan, I have two credit cards. I'm going to need printouts and proofs of them. Even though we see it on the report, it's you'll have
Mm-hmm.
to go to the entities, get those information and send over to the bank of your choice if you're not using your main bank and all the facilities are not with that bank. We need all the information for this large investment. All right, you can
So,
go to the next.
so earlier,
Mm-hmm.
earlier, Mrs. Bunswell, you mentioned that the property must be completed, or there must be a plan
Yes.
as to what they had intended to do. But the question I want to ask though, does the bank offer loan or mortgage? Is it a mortgage if you want to refurbish a property per se? So you have your own home already and you
Mm-hmm.
want to refurbish or you want to add on to it.
No money. No, it's not a mortgage.
It's not a
No,
mortgage, it's just a loan.
it's just a loan. Right.
Okay. So the mortgage is just to purchase a
Just
property.
to purchase the property.
Okay.
Right. Uh, you can also do a home equity to
Mm-hmm.
refurbish. Or
Okay.
you can just take a regular unsecured loan to refurbish. Suppose you only need $2 million to do everything you need to do. You
Mm-hmm.
can do a regular unsecured loan
Okay.
and use it on your property. I should also state that there are some mortgages that are for investment properties. So the requirements for those are a little different because the buyer doesn't plan to live there. So I'm
Okay.
gonna buy a property just to rent. I'm gonna do
Right.
Airbnb. That's my investment. So it's
Mm.
different from um, living in, dwelling. So some banks may require a little different things if it's for investment. You may have to put down a bigger down payment if it is an investment mortgage, right?
Okay. Something else I want to ask though.
Mhm.
All right. So when you're taking out a mortgage
Yes.
and purchase the property and everything, so what happened in the event of a fire?
Okay. Insurance comes into play
So
here.
insurance. Right. So
Yes.
it's a must that you must have insurance. What if you don't have insurance? You never took out
No,
any
you have
insurance.
to have it.
You
You
have to
have
have
to have it.
insurance.
If
Okay.
you're going through a bank
Mm-hmm.
or a building society, that's a requirement. I think I have it
Okay.
here on this page. The third to last thing. There are other
Okay.
things maybe needed.
Okay. So I'm
Insurance.
jumping the gun.
That's
Okay.
that's totally fine. The
Okay.
premises will need to be insured against natural disasters, fire,
Right.
hurricane, and things like that. So your mortgage specialist will speak to you about that. You
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes the banks will have insurance companies that they have a deal with. So if you do your mortgage through ABC, you can get a discount on your insurance from EFG, right?
Okay.
But
Yes.
it's also your prerogative if you choose to go to XYZ, because they still, let's say you have your car insurance with them already, and if you get another insurance thing through them, it's a discount, and you have a savings account there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you just want to choose someone new, and Selena works there, so I
Yeah.
want to give her the food, so to speak. So
Right.
it's your choice for insurance policies
Okay.
to take out for the house. And that is a total different thing from your mortgage, but it's a requirement once you're going through the bank.
Okay.
Also, you need to be covered for the loan in the event you fall ill and, God forbid, die. So you also need to be insured.
So that leads to my next question. What if
Yes,
you took out a what you call it now? A
a
partner?
policy.
No, a partner. Your partner, both of you took out
Mm-hmm.
a joint mortgage. Yes, I think that's the correct term, a joint mortgage,
Joint finance.
and
Oh,
one
you're
party
both doing
dies.
the mortgage
Yes,
together.
together,
Uh-huh.
and one party dies. What happens? Does the
That party is covered because
Mhm.
the policies that you have will cover the
Yes.
total cost of the mortgage itself.
Okay.
So if the mortgage is 12 million,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Boyd will have a policy for 6 or 7 million. You
Right.
have a policy for 6 or 7 million. We use both policies as life coverage for you too.
Okay.
Or you can do a one time payment in
Mm-hmm.
your processing fees. So your processing fees have a lot of breakdown. A part
Okay.
of it is for your insurance. If you want to pay that one time figure in your processing fee, that's fine.
Okay.
But if you go the route of taking out an insurance policy, at least you have a policy at the end of the day. You otherwise you'll just be paying over the money to the bank. A
Okay.
one time payment that comes in the breakdown of your processing fees. Please
Okay.
also have your processing fees explained to you, because we have to register the title. It has to go to the stamping office. You have to pay the attorney fee for the bank. You have to pay a particular interest to do this and that. You're going to do the one time payment instead of taking out policies for yourself. All of those add up in your processing fees, and every bank's processing fees are different. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I said in the beginning, just do your research, ask the necessary questions. These aren't secrets. You are supposed to get this information. All right. So
Okay.
yes, you are hunting. And if you feel like you're not getting the service that you need for asking the necessary questions, by all means, move along, or if you want to report it. Because the truth is, the customers are important to us, and you're here to be served. All right.
Indeed.
So every client is different, hence their mortgage process may differ.
Hold on. Let me just stop here a little bit before you go to note to self. There's a question here from Sister Nash. She's
Mhm.
asking, what is the difference in interest rate? What is the difference in interest rate between a home equity loan and a regular loan to do renovation to your property?
That is determined by the bank. I
Okay.
can't say what the exact figure is. Each bank differs. All interest rates coming from the Bank of Jamaica is on a range,
Mm-hmm.
and every bank will choose the interest rate that they need. Right? The home
Okay.
equity tends to be lower because it's already there. It's already valued. You're living in there. You have your hot water, your porcelain tiles, your island, $5 million cupboard. it's gonna be valued a lot more than a new,
Yeah.
well, depends on the dwelling that you buy, right? So those things are going to be taken into consideration. At the time when you bought the house, it was just you and the natural vegetation around you and the crickets. Now they have a road there, Millennium Mall come out there, Popeyes, Select Foods, your property value gone way up. So the home
Yes.
equity usually carries a lower interest rate, and it you can get up to 30 years like a mortgage. So I don't want to break from the mortgage, but if you want to do a regular loan, you just want for $3 million to do something, you don't have to go unsecured. You can use the home equity, use the equity in your existing property and borrow against it, get a lower rate than the unsecured rate, and you still get up to 30 years to repay. So that's when the home, you can do a home equity and consolidate some stuff. So it doesn't have to be to refurbish. Suppose you are doing a mortgage, and after you do the mortgage, when you check the place, you need to redo the roof. You need some solar panels and stuff. You can go back to NHT. NHT has a solar loan. You can go back to your bank. Some banks offer a special credit facility with your mortgage, or they give you a credit card or an overdraft at a lower interest rate. Let's say the regular rate for credit card was 20%. And if you're doing a mortgage, we give you 3%. You incorporate all that into the mortgage, right? So when after you purchase the house, you can go ahead and redo the kitchen. Or you can go down to Ashley Courts, wherever, and present your place how you need it to be done.
All right. She's saying thank you. That answers her question perfectly well.
Excellent. Thank you. So every client is different and their mortgage process may differ. So I say to everyone, just find out for yourself. Don't listen to me and my bad experience and the bank have too many papers, too many things to sign, etc. because my circumstance is different from yours. All right? Engage an attorney at law. Can't stress this enough. Called Google it. We use Google for a lot of things. Find an attorney and let them handle it for you. They'll collect the funds from the payout, right? There are a lot of little things that you may not be privy to. They have the expertise to guide you so that you don't lose in the end,
Right.
right? Request the list, of documents needed from your mortgage institution, including the approved list of valuators and surveyors. I would love if you do use this as a mantra, because you'll spend 80,000 to do a valuation report. Oh, and valuation report has to be within 12 months to be accepted. When you go to the bank, they no longer use this valuator. You're going to have to pay that money to do it again, right?
Oh,
Right, because this is now the requirement of the institution you're using, and Daniel is not on that list. Even though the house that you're buying is right up the road and Daniel office is right down the road and everybody use Daniel, but Daniel is not on the list for this bank, so it cannot be accepted, right? And
so
no,
don't
there
jump
are
ahead before consulting with your
no,
institution.
consult first. Consult first. You can't go wrong if you consult first, because you're still going to find out the value of your property. You're still going to find out. And you don't want to use a friend or anybody to do anything contrary. I'm not saying that they would, but I'm just saying consult before you do. As I said, there are other things that you may need: an insurance policy. You may need a letter of undertaking. It depends on what's happening at the premises. Suppose the light was disconnected and the water, and you're going to buy this premises, and the bank say, listen, water has to be at that premises. Your lawyer can prepare a letter of undertaking to say, we commit to settling the amount owed upon receipt of the funds, right? Because this is a requirement for you to get the money for that house. So this is the reason we go back to number two, and you need an attorney at law for those things. Okay, back down. Can't stress it enough. Your credit history is your responsibility. Check it out. You get a free one each year. Go ahead, go online, pull it. Whatever you don't understand, you can still reach out to your bank representative and let them explain it to you, or let the persons at the credit bureau explain it to you as well. There are a lot of instances where there are loans that have been settled and they still show up on your credit history. It is your responsibility to reach out to your creditors. I had borrowed a loan at Boyd Bank. I settled that loan. I'm still seeing it on my report. You're going to go back to Boyd Bank and say, hey, what is happening? I settled this loan in 2017. Why am I seeing it now on my report here? It's your responsibility, because maybe at the time when the credit bureau started, Boyd Bank never subscribed to it yet. So they didn't get to send over that information as yet. And some persons may feel as if it is the bank that is to fix it. No, it's you, it's your report. So pull it. Whatever you don't understand, reach out to someone who knows, preferably at a bank. Let them explain it to you. And the truth is, sometimes mishaps do happen. You may have gotten ill, you had a major illness, you were out of a job, you lost a limb, you couldn't pay, you're a carpenter and you lose your hand. You cannot work. So the little loan that you did have down one little place there, it got bad. You had a
Yeah.
divorce. You lost one whole income, right? If you have proof of these things to show to the bank, there are exception cases where they will overlook it because you have legitimate proof that this had happened. You cannot say COVID. Let me just throw it out there. You can't say COVID
So COVID is not an excuse.
and it's just COVID. No, you have to have legitimate proof of that period when something went wrong, which is why it's good to check it each year so that the next 10 years you're trying to figure out, when did I have a credit card? I wonder if you can't remember.
Yes.
And then you want your sales representative to remember for you. It doesn't work like that. So your history is your responsibility. As I've said, NWC is now on it. Even if you are a landlord and you are renting a premises and the tenant run up the bill and gone, it's your premises. I understand that you're in court and you're doing this and you're doing this, but the more it climbs, it shows on your report. If you can prove to me that you were renting and all of this happened and you made a report and see it here and we go rent board, what it is saying to us is you're not pay your water bill. And we can't trust you because you're not even want to pay your water bill for shower,
So you gotta pay one mortgage. Oh,
right? Okay. And at the end of the purchase now, you've got the keys in your hand. You need to put things in place to make your repayment. A salary deduction is preferred for persons who are employed to companies just to ensure that the funds come out first, right? So now that you're a homeowner, you have home ownership responsibilities. And you're going to do your gardening, you're going to do everything, ensure that the repayment is set up correctly. Ensure that the policies that you have given to them are maintained. If it is that you would have taken out a new policy to cover your mortgage, the policy is $5,000 a month, you still have to pay that policy as long as you have the mortgage, because you took out one for 12 million, you got the mortgage for 30 years. It has to cover up to then, because you don't want something to go wrong and your policy can't pay it out and it's left on the other party, or they come for your house. It happens all the time.
As you mentioned that, Mrs. Barnes, well, I've heard of situation where the bank is selling the house with the people inside the house. They're still living there, and there is a
Absolutely.
far sale sign. So I'm saying, is it a case where there was no discussion between them and the bank?
We can't know. And that is why I say the first one here, everyone's experience is different. Some persons, truthfully, they could have paid all throughout the years. And for whatever reason, they are just not able to pay anymore. It goes
Yes.
back to the definition of a mortgage. And that is why the bank holds the title, because it's in essence, it's the bank's property until you've repaid it, because
Full, in full.
they've bought it on your behalf and you have to honor that agreement. That's why they put policies in place to safeguard you. If you have a major illness, you had an insurance policy that would pay out to show you. So you couldn't pay it, you show them, say, see it here, I had this. What
Yes.
can the bank do? You have your proof.
And in that case, the interest rate will there will be interest added.
It depends on the institution.
Okay.
So I can't speak for all. Once you're not paying,
Interest. Attract
Be-
interest.
right, because you would have gotten a schedule showing how much you will pay each month. That payment includes the interest and the principal payment. So once you've missed a payment, you've missed a principal payment and an interest payment. Even if it's $10,000 you pay back a month, you can check to see how much of that 10 goes to the interest and how much goes to the principal.
Okay.
All right. Some banks allow you to make lump sum payments throughout the year, but they may restrict you to twice a year or once a year, which is why I say, when you are searching, try and find out these things. Sometimes we see a lot of promotions on TV. As you quint, the keys are in your finger, but that promotion only run at Christmas. So when January finish, and the interest goes back to what it was before, then you have a problem. So these are the things we have to find out about. All right, next slide for me, please. As I say, check for yourself. There are a lot of websites out there where you can go house hunting. Here are a few that I just dropped here for those who are not sure. These companies are their developers. You can go to their websites. You can look at houses they've done and schemes they've built, their amenities, what they have, where they're located. NHT, of course, is all island. So you can skew your search to Clarendon, St. Catherine, Portland, and to just look around. You can go on keys.com, I think it's keez.com, and search for properties. By all means, make your checks. Ensure that the persons who are selling the properties are the persons that are able to sell the properties. Based on what we're seeing in the media, we just have to become investigators, because we don't want to be on the opposite end of the stick that we all know in this country, and we are not able to recollect our funds, or it takes a very long time. And we don't want that. So search around. There are a lot of new developers. Still check them, ensure that they are legitimate.
Okay.
And like, subscribe, and click I said, click like, subscribe to Ancelena Versatility. Boyd, get
Oh
your keys
my
in your hand,
God.
and thank you for listening.
Oh my God, it was a pleasure having you sharing with us this evening, Mrs. Bonswell. I am
Thank you
sure
so
that
much.
those on YouTube here this evening, you must have been educated, you must have been informed and inspired in some way to ensure that you do yourself due diligence. Ensure
Yes.
you have the right information before going out to get your mortgage. Ensure you do your proper checks. Ensure you go around to the different institution. Don't just stick to one institution.
All
Just
them.
go around, ensure that the interest rate, yes man, the interest rate, the one, the
And the
important,
processing fees.
the processing fee, it is very, very much important. Do we have any final comments, any final question for our presenter this evening? I am going to give her one last opportunity just to wrap up, just to summarize some of what she has shared with
Oh,
us this evening for those who have joined us late. Yes, so she will just do a little summary. So in that time, you can share any question or any final thought from this evening's presentation. Go ahead, Mrs. Vansell.
all right. So we're going to purchase our house. We need to ensure that our credit history is intact. We need to check our financing. Do we have our down payment, which is 5 to 20% of the cost? Do we have our closing payment to close the deal? Get our pre-approval, find out how much it is we can qualify for first, and then go ahead and search for the house of your dreams or what you can afford. Once you found that, make an offer, make a formal offer, get your sales agreement, reach out to your banking institution or building society of your choice. Get the list of required documents from the companies, the valuators, the surveyors, and submit the documents that they require. Go through everything step by step. Submit all required documentation for ease of reference when it is being, sorted out. Close the deal. Ensure that you are making the right choice. If you are not feeling confident in any way, speak to your representative freely, frankly, ask for explanation on anything that you don't know. Uh, Remember the note to self, engage an attorney at law, just ensure that the legal aspect of it is covered. It benefits you, even though I know some persons don't want to pay the money, but you may end up paying more without doing this. Check out the insurance companies to insure the property and to insure yourself if that is applicable to you. Remember that every client is different and their experiences will differ. Don't listen to the noise outside. Get your own information. Remember to your responsibilities once you've now gotten the property. You are responsible for paying back. Repayment is absolutely important, right?
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing. Once you've gotten it, just ensure that you repay. Don't let this mess up your history and we find yourself in a situation where your house is being sold with you in it.
Become
Right?
homeless.
Right. And also all the jargons that you are not sure of, pari passu and things like that, they are very simple. Just ask. If you're not sure, joint finance mortgaging, it just simply means NHT and the other financial institution that you're using. Get the layman's term. Don't try to feel cute and go over it. Ask the necessary questions. Get the
Yes.
answers that you want. Ask it 3 4 times. Write it down if you have to. Ensure that you've had the correct information. Check the vendors that you're buying from. Ensure it's legitimate. they are legitimately able to sell you that property if it's not through one of the development companies that you have seen. Check out the development companies, do your own research. Sometimes your banking representative will assist you because they want the loan, you know. Sometimes they'll assist you, but it's also your responsibility.
Okay, thank you very much for that summary. I know we are discussing about mortgage this evening. However, somebody is asking if you can speak to car loans.
Car loans, sure.
Yes, car loans.
All right, very similar to mortgages. It's you're purchasing a secured facility. You need to get your pre-approval just the same, find out how much you are approved for. Then you find the vehicle that is within that price range, right? And the year. The year is very important for auto loan. Find out the year that the banks are offering financing for. Some will say 0 to 5, you get 100%, or 6 to 12. If they go so far, you have to put up 20%. We only do 75% coverage. Those are things you need to know. You need to have your processing fees separate from the loan amount. So if I'm purchasing a car from Ancelena for $1 million, the bank is sending over $1 million. But the processing fee, the stamping, and all of that, I have to pay. So remember that you need to have your own processing fees. Depending on the institution that you choose, sometimes they will have a deal going, and say no processing fees. If you can find the vehicle that you like within the time frame of that campaign, it's even better for you, right? Check the
Okay.
interest rate. The interest rate helps to determine the monthly payback. Please, when you are checking for your monthly payback, and know you love the car, you see the big car, nice car that you want, but remember, you are also a person. You need to be able to eat and go to the supermarket. You want to be able to insure it. You want to put gas in it. So if you just have to step down a little for now, do that. Just get something that you can afford. Also, when you're buying through the bank, the vehicle has to be insured. So you have to have your processing fee, you have to have your insurance money for yourself. And the bank usually, you most definitely is comprehensive insurance. So you
Okay.
can't do the third party when you're buying through the bank.
So
So
the
you
loan
know.
will not cover the insurance.
No,
It's just for the
no,
purchase
because
of the vehicle.
no, all the bank is doing is purchasing this facility for you. You have to insure it, you have to license it, right? If you're buying through a dealer, you're going to need your valuation report, your C87E report, and yes, and the information from the dealer in terms of banking information, so the bank will know where to send the funds to. If I'm purchasing Ancelena's vehicle, then I'm going to need her title as proof that is Ancelena vehicle, and
Right.
she can sell it to me, and an updated valuation report, because she can say she keep her vehicle nice and clean, and her things sort out, her husband sort out the vehicle, but it still no value what it was when she just bought it, and it's just a fact. So the bank will honor the market value of the vehicle based on an approved valuator. Spend the money and just go to the approved ones. They have list for car loans too. Get it from the bank so that you don't find yourself doing these valuations more than once. Once you've sorted that out, we have the information where you're going to get the car from, the amount, the cost. We know how much you earn. You can afford the $2 million vehicle. You submit your documents for approval. submit your documents. The bank has agreed to pay over the loan on your behalf. There are some conditions that you need to meet. Meaning, if you're buying from so and so XYZ Jamaica, the vehicle cannot be coming from Germany and it not reach here yet, and the bank is gonna pay over the money to them. No. Once you're approved, they can hold that approval for you until the vehicle is here. The vehicle has to be physically here. I must stress that. Once the vehicle is there, we send over the money. We prepare a letter of undertaking, formally letting the vendor know that we are going to purchase the vehicle on your behalf, and it is now the vendor's opportunity, whether it's Ancelena, a regular civilian, or a dealer, to transfer the documents. And you must hear about transfer documents. You go to the tax office, stamp it out, if you know those terms, transfer it in your name, do the license, fitness, insurance, ensure you meet the requirements of the bank. Those are a part of it. Fitness, registration, it's transferred in your name. The funds are then sent over to the vendor, collect your vehicle.
Okay. All right.
Very
Thank you. Yes, you're very clear. Thank you very much once again, Mrs. Barneswell, for sharing with us this evening, educating and informing us this evening on mortgage. All right, and let me also say thank you, my YouTubers, my YouTube families, for your continued support. Every Tuesday night, you're here supporting me. I greatly appreciate that. Once again, have a blessed night, everybody. Love, blessings to you and
blessings. All
your
right.
family.
Good
You enjoy
night.
the rest of your evening. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.
Go and love me.
Come, wrap up, wrap up, wrap up. This is not a good year.